see there were no injury or property incidents, at least not listed. We don't have any visitors this morning. Guess we'll move into reports. Jared, looks like you're up first.
Morning.
Morning.
Been running 6, 10, and 11 every day this week so far. We did have a little problem with gas pressure. First time running all 3 units since we got natural gas back. USDI came down and did some adjustments on regulators and got that taken care of for us. So all 3 of them ran good yesterday, and they're scheduled to run again this afternoon. And that's really all we got, unless you have any questions.
What were the items to correct on our air?
There was a form for running the fogger on unit 6 that we needed to be keeping track of, that we hadn't done that. And the other one was wasn't really something we hadn't been done. We keep a book at each unit for maintenance that we're doing daily or whatever.
The logs.
They wanted to see those, and Josh was on vacation that week, and he had those in his office because he's putting them all on the computer now. So, but I sent those to him and got that taken care of.
So, okay. In Unit 6, we got anything left? The voltage regulator?
We're gonna do the voltage regulator this fall.
Okay, we're gonna wait till after
Yep.
we got a little quieter.
We can take an outage and not get things floored as bad when we're doing the fall. So,
That's all we got left on 6. Everything else done.
Is it a big deal to do that?
he said it'd take about a week.
Okay. That's a big deal.
It is.
Yeah, and if we took that week now, we would be.
Yeah, I understand that, yeah. Just glad that it's running well and, you're able to get it going without the regulators.
It's been good.
Anything else for Jared? Thank you, Jared.
Yeah, I got one more question. So, how was the production when we had all 3 units running? On each of the unit was it pretty good?
Yeah, it was good.
Because that helps us, doesn't it? Do they?
Yeah, especially 6, because it's a performance based, and right now we're only getting 7.5 megawatts of capacity credit on 6, when we could be getting 13 or 14.
Yes.
So every one of these runs that we have is going to edge that capacity credit up. I think 10 and 11 are pretty much, they're right at, they're not at nameplate, but they're close.
They're probably maxed out for what we're going to get for capacity credit.
Right. But all the issues we had with those going through that really dinged us on that unit. But capacity credits went up for the summer from 108 to 130. So for the summer season, if he continues to have those runs, we've got room to capture, another 4 or 5 megawatts, another $20,000 a month. So
Be great.
yeah, his staff's working hard, and that's our goal anyway, is to kind of, maximize the capacity and what we get for that. His staff's doing a good job.
Okay, thank you, Jared. Morning.
Morning, how are you, sir?
Great.
Really don't have anything to add to the, what is written there, but I will answer any questions that you have.
How you doing on English Street there in front of ConAgra?
They started the tie Monday. They, got out of, Boyd Street on Monday. They was digging the, fire hydrant in, should be going in today. It'll be their replacement fire hydrant on the corner of, English and Boyd.
Okay.
So that'll be tied in today, and then they'll start, going south from that point.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Will.
Sounds good.
I don't have anything on this, but I appreciate you. I see you out there about every time there's a main break or something else. You're always out there, always in the machine, always running it. So just thank you.
Thank you very much.
It is noticed.
All right, thank you very much,
We
Steve.
usually just don't get to see you here.
All right.
So, thank you.
Good job this time, you. Any other questions for Will? Thank you. We'll move on. Doug, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. Not much to add. The overhead underground project, the next round, locates are good today, so we'll be moving in on that project maybe by the end of the week or beginning of next week. Other than that, the infrared scanning, we did finish that up. We have a few things that we're monitoring after the repair. There's still just a little bit of temperature rise, but we're gonna keep an eye on that and move, make additional repairs if we need to.
What's it on?
It's actually on the 402 riser, so we did clean that. There's still just a little bit warm, so we may need to clean that, and also another capacitor rack at ConAgra.
What was the variation? What was it?
It's like a 15 or 20 degree rise. And
Okay, so it's not too-
so it's not too bad. Just keep an eye on it, monitor. So, but other than that, we didn't find anything else other than what we got listed here. So, but the program need to do it.
Oh, yeah, no, it'll save us.
Yeah, catch those and do it when you want
Catch
to,
them
say when
early.
you have to.
Yeah, dude, that's right. Yeah.
I strongly believe in that IR program. I've seen it save
Yeah.
a ton of gear, and a ton of machines, so it's very good to do that.
It's done annually?
We do it annually, yeah. And if we have a suspect area, we'll do it, anytime, yeah.
Have you seen the ones you can put on your phone?
I have not.
Just a little camera clips into your USB, and you can do everything with it.
Really?
That's what I carry around instead of the gun anymore, because it downloads it. I can take it back, make my report and everything straight from my phone.
Yeah, nice.
They've come a long way. I think when we started that, they had to bring in liquid nitrogen. And I don't know, Chuck, if you remember any of that in their plant, but yeah, they bring in this liquid nitrogen and now then the first
And the
cameras
cameras,
they
they were huge.
oh, the
and
first
they were
cameras they had were
expensive.
huge, and now you got them for,
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
yeah, the big camera, we had a big camera one
Thanks,
time,
Steve.
and it was like 23,000, but anyway,
Yeah.
it's come a long way. And it is a very, very good program.
Doug, maybe you mentioned, the building modifications,
Mhm.
when are those?
It's later this fall, I think, just waiting on material.
Oh, we're
So
gonna,
everything's ordered,
it's that far out?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's the windows and
Yeah.
doors for these?
yes.
Okay.
Anything else for Doug? Thank you, Doug. Jim, good morning.
Morning. Not a whole lot to add to what's in the packet. I've been sitting in lots of NERC meetings.
Yeah, I'm not gonna ask a question about that.
And he really likes those, you can tell.
I'm fortunate Doug and Jared have been in more of them than I have. So. And Jeff's been in all of them.
Work progressing at the junction.
My guys are basically done on the north side. We're still waiting on our contractor T&T to get back to do the stuff across Loves. But once they get that, then just a matter of tying it all together and putting the fiber in. But yeah, we're waiting on that. I told him that ribbon cutting is next week, and he said, okay, but still no sign of it.
I was just gonna ask about that. Okay, well, good. Anything else for Jim? Thank you, Jim. Eric, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Just one update. I have completed the application for that permit on our air compressor in our shop. Other than that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. It's kind of a deal I wasn't aware of.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, with that air
Kidding me,
compressor.
I got one of those yesterday.
I got a whole list of,
Did you?
yeah.
Yeah, that air compressor kind of been in that shop since 2017, and he showed up that day and. Yeah,
Somebody
I guess we're
rattled
supposed to have a
a cage or something?
I guess he might have been in town, doing inspections at Jared's, and I guess he figured he'd stop by the wastewater plant. I'm guessing. So.
We had DNR in the, DNR was had the air permit, and you had the fire inspector, and he was in town, and
too.
he got the senior center yesterday, I think, didn't he?
Some of them didn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, it's kind of caught me off guard.
$90 permit didn't make a lot of sense either, but what do you do?
Yes. I gotta put a solid core door on a half wall. Does that make sense? Fireproof door on a half wall.
No comment.
Okay, all right. That's it. Thank you. Anything else for Eric? Thank you, Eric. Travis, good morning.
Morning. I don't really have anything else to add other than what's in the packet, but we'll answer any questions if you have any.
DNR didn't find anything up there? You need to
He was-
help you with?
Basically, the hazard waste inspection, that was when we got rid of all that acid and everything. He was just making sure that all that was gone. But then he had to go walk through the whole facility and look at different things. He was gonna do some checking on some stuff and get back with me. He had questions on certain things like our aerosol cans and stuff like that, and like used rags. Got the information back from Jared, what we do with it. Sent all that to him. He said he still has to do some more checking and he'll get back with me. So,
I guess if they're looking at dirty rags, that's better than finding something major.
yeah.
Anything else for Travis? Thanks, Travis. Megan, good morning.
Morning. Not gonna add anything to what's in your packet. I do wanna congratulate the folks in IT and broadband for going 5 years without a recordable.
That's great. Keep up the good work. Any questions for Megan?
I was just curious, Megan, that Gallagher health insurance, and that note about a form of self-funding, what does that mean?
The captives, it's basically self-funding your medical insurance, but rather than doing it on your own, you group with a bunch of other employers to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you have to have a lump sum amount of money to cover,
You
makes,
you do have to put money in to that particular captive that they were talking to me about. You do have to put some front money up into it.
okay.
I think it's they and it was folks at Gallagher or Assured Partners. There's now Gallagher. It was Assured Partners folks, not brand new folks, but talk like they take a little bit different approach to lasers, which has been a concern with self-funding in the past, where they put different stop loss and deductibles on individuals due to health conditions. They talk like they take a little bit different approach to that stuff. I think it might be something we want to learn a little bit about down the road, but it's still got all the same risk reward with that you would have with your typical self-funding. So,
Thank you.
mhm.
Anything else for Megan? Thank you, Megan. Tony, good morning.
Morning. You guys will see there that I handed out a draft version of our 26-27 budget. It's still very much a draft. I think the department heads haven't even received a copy. Jeff just got one yesterday. So we're going to spend the next week still kind of tweaking it and visiting with department heads on it. I will kind of go through it kind of page by page, just kind of a high level. And you guys can have time to review, but I'll kind of hit some of the things I was thinking and when I was going through it. It's still the same format. So your page 1 is kind of the summary of the utility of all the departments. And then page 3 and 4 is kind of the financial position that we've always had in here as a whole and as each department. These numbers are still changing specifically for budget year 27. And then we get into the departments, and then page 7 is kind of the capital improvements. For electric production, you'll see that we have a lot of improvements to unit 6 and 10. As I get further in, something I've been kind of working on throughout the year is tracking the capacity credits for each unit and what we're spending every month on those units between utilities, maintenance, capital projects, labor. I'm trying to come up with a way to estimate, what we need to be putting in those funds and if there should be caps. And so I've got something set up. I haven't visited with Jeff and Jared on it yet, but I'm going to try to implement that in October, this new fiscal year. Back when Winter Storm Uri hit, we moved a bunch of money into those funds. We really haven't done anything since. They've just been sitting there. So with the capacity credits going up, we're going to try to start allocating those funds into those units. So this year, what Jared currently has is, I think there's $130,000 of expense for Unit 6 and $425,000 for Unit 10. And so ideally, those will come out of those restricted fund accounts versus just coming out of our pooled cash. So, and I'll explain that too as we get further in. The next page over there is Doug's. There's really, this year's budget, there's really not a lot of additional stuff. We've kind of cut back. I know Doug's got the switchgear still kind of hanging out there that hopefully will get closed up this year. He does have some equipment in there. And then 11 and 12 is kind of the 5-year outlay, kind of what we got going on. I'm still trying to go through and identify things that have maybe already been approved but haven't hit. We're still kind of in lingo that haven't hit, so I'm thinking they're going to hit in budget year 27. I'm still kind of going through that and reviewing that, and then the distribution side as well. And then page 13, the financial statement for the electric department. I have some write-ups in there. Obviously, salaries and benefits are kind of what we're expected to see budgeted this year, increases. Our insurance, so we had to increase our excess liability from $2 million to $5 million due to some gas line improvements, and so we budgeted in for that and an increase. And interest expense. So we've kind of been playing around with interest on the loan for the new Customer Connect Center. I've made some changes to that because during the construction phase, where we're paying interest-only payments this next budgeted year, that will be capitalized into the total project. So you won't be on the expense side, but it'll be on the capital side. And then when we close the loan in hopefully October, November, then we'll start seeing the interest payments. So I've just kind of identified that in the financials. Right now, I don't have any rate increases in for this budget year. The challenge is, and I think I say it every year, it's based on estimates now from June. Well, July, August, and September are our biggest months for electric and water. So it's kind of a challenge to see where I think our revenue is going to be. July, actually June for the electric department was really well. And then July was pretty much even with last year. So I'm still kind of reviewing those. Those are things I'm probably going to tweak over the next week as I get a better idea and get through July. Page 14, the financial position. If you look down there at the bottom, we added these cash restricted funds last year. Well, you'll see there's the Unit 6, 7, and 9, 10, 11. So those are the numbers I'm kind of looking at revamping based on what I was saying about Unit 6 and 10 and 11. Overall, I think we're doing pretty well in electric. It's hard we got so much going on. Still waiting to see what we're going to get paid for the MEC, how much that's going to impact us, and electric usage on that. So still kind of reviewing that. But overall, I didn't see anything that was concerning. If you guys have any questions, feel free to stop me. But probably the most challenging section is the water department. It's on page 15. For the water, for Travis, we really don't have anything anything scheduled, just other than the normal well maintenance, and then is basins that was carried over from last year. If you go over to the capital outlay, don't have much planned out other than you'll see I included that task order that was approved this month. I've included that in the budget year 20 because we haven't expensed any of that yet, so that will probably hit in 27. The only other questions I have, and we'll visit with Jeff, is the MCC out there in 2030 for $1.020 million. I think the conversation that we need to have is based on what costs come in as improvements. Is that something we want to include or push down the road? And so we still need to have conversations on that. On 18 there, I kind of made comments. If you look under utilities and supplies, I made a comment a couple of weeks ago that our production is way down in water. It has come back it's come up very well in July, but I think right now I have budgeted the same expenses for supplies and utilities as what I had budgeted last year, because I'm trying to look at it as we're going to make the assumption that it's going to go back up consistent with prior years. So this is stuff I'm still reviewing. I don't have any rate increases for water department. I left right now the revenue budget, the revenue numbers are the same as last year because I'm still trying to look at that. I did make a comment under charge for services that last year we budgeted a 5% increase, but we did a 20%. We're still going to continue to review that. Also made a comment down there on the interest expense. A lot of these are repetitive for each department, but some of them are a little specific. You'll see there that depreciation is going way up in budget year 27. So that is due to the North Street pump station is still in construction and process. We're still waiting on that final payment, and then we'll capitalize that. So that's the reason why a bigger increase in depreciation expense going forward. I currently don't have any of the water plant improvements or the transmission improvements included in the budget, other than the task orders that have been already approved. And you'll see on page 20 we have our 19. We'll go back to 19 real quick. The financial statement, financial position there is kind of where I think our cash flow is going to be. We obviously have some concerns further out that may need to be addressed, but these are just projections right now. What I did do different this year that hasn't been last year, I've kind of broken out the water treatment plant improvements and transmission improvements. It's its own separate section. And really this is just identifying what we've done so far, what the potential impact could be based on the preliminary numbers that we've gotten to date on the level 5 estimates. And that just kind of summarizes that we're really not asking for any approval for anything other than I did budget in some there at the bottom of page 21. There could be some additional professional expenses that we'll need to address. If you guys are still on the position, if you guys have questions on that, I could answer that. Good. Okay. Yeah, so I think we could see some additional legal and financial expense, and depending if we have to go to the vote, there could be some election cost expense included in this. I included in this budget here, but it might not be this year, it might be next year. It's just kind of depends on basically what the engineering comes back and costs. Page 22 is kind of an estimated debt service payment we would see based on the current projected improvements. And then page 23 is more just kind of summarizing the improvements that we've kind of budgeted for. aerators, the clarifiers, CO2 feed, and then transmission and water tower. I have that included in there as well. But that's still a revolving number, so we're still evaluating that. And like I said, none of those numbers are included in the budget. It's just kind of more informative of what we're long-term plan. Wastewater, other than the filter press that we've currently been working on, is the only thing Eric's got. Sludge conveyors. And then there's his 5-year outlay. And then on the financial statements, summarize them. There, we're seeing, obviously, there's an increase in other general expenses. That's professional. I kind of address it down there. Kim Heck and Drop Collaborative, we're increasing our budget a little bit in professional to cover some services she'll be providing. On the statement of financial position there for the wastewater department, we'll see something kind of different there. If you go down to under cash sewer main fund, you'll see that I have a line in there, filter press and sludge conveyor, and withdrawing 1.3 million out of that fund to cover that project. These are just estimates right now. That number could change depending on what the final cost comes back as, but I was just kind of wanting to show that we do plan on utilizing money out of this cash sewer fund and the I&I fund to cover that project. That helps us avoid having to do any kind of rate increases. And then as we get closer and an idea of what those numbers are going to come in at, those numbers will fluctuate. Right now I have 1.3 coming out of the cash sewer fund, and then 1.9 out of the I&I fund to cover that. It still puts us above what I think our minimum reserve number will be, but it does go in a little bit into the maximum number, so that is a decision we'll have to make on how much we want to pull out of there based on project cost. Underground, page 30, 29 and 30, there's really, Grant's just pretty much got water main replacements for this next budget year. The mini excavator was carried over from last year. I decided to hold off on that until we kind of get a better idea of cash flow in the water department. And then you'll see on page 31 his outlay there. There's that task order 10 that was just approved. I included that in there. And then it's got a lot of water main projects scheduled out over the next 5 years. So
I believe most of those materials were
the majority of them have already been covered
with that grant. So
yeah. And you'll see that when just to back up a little bit, sorry. If you go back to page 19, the water department. I'm sorry, page 18, the water department financial statements. You'll see up there under estimated 2026 there in grant income, we received the final payment at 373. So that was for that. 100% of that was for the water mains. So, which is kind of deceiving because estimated 26, we had that additional grant and revenue that we had spent in the prior year. So on the collection side, we've pretty much cut out most everything. I think I need to look at that. We have manhole rehabilitation on there. I have it in 28, but I'm not sure if that needs to be in 27. So that could be in 27. I need to visit with Grant on that. But we still have pretty much cut out CIPP for the next couple of years to help try to cover that project down at Eric's department. IT and broadband, a lot of the same. Continuing to work on grant 2 there on page 36. I think Jim said that there's some additional expansion out to Junction that we might do, and then the new subdivision out, we'll be putting the internet out there, so we got that budgeted in. Overall, the financials on the IT and broadband look pretty good. I know if you look there on page 38, charges for services, last year we budgeted a 5% increase because we were thinking maybe to help offset the Customer Connect Center and IT's portion of that. I still think we need to hold off on that. This is with Jim, our broadband purchase is going to stay pretty consistent over the next several years. And I think the grants are performing well, better than we expected. And so it's not to say that maybe down the road there might be a need, but right now I don't see a need to do any kind of rate increase. Depreciation, you'll see I cut back on that this year because talking with the USDA, we have a lot of projects. I think, Jim, we currently have like 3.3 million completed on grant 2 that's sitting in construction process, meaning that we haven't started capitalizing it yet. Probably won't start capitalizing all those projects till we're completely done. So that's why you'll see depreciation start going up further out in the projected years, 29, 28, 29, 30. So I cut back on it because I originally budgeted that increase, and I don't think we're going to see it until the project's done. Natural gas, page 41 and 42 is pretty simple. Everything's looking well in that department. Still kind of reviewing. We do expect the revenue to go up in that department with once the NDC project's done. I've kind of forecasted that out a little bit. Not too much of an impact in 27. At least I've budgeted not too much of an impact. Hopefully there is, but I haven't budgeted too much for this next year. Administrative, I do have, I kept the building in there and just kind of put a little update in the bottom of, as far as the financing and the guaranteed maximum. And then people risking outreach there is at the end with Megan's department. Like I said, it's still a working draft where we'll probably spend some time with Jeff and department heads kind of going back through it, reviewing. But between the next 2 weeks, if you guys have questions or want to talk about something specific, just let myself or Jeff know. We can kind of explain the thought process of what we're expecting and how it's working. I realize you guys just got a copy, so there's a lot to go through. But other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions or concerns you guys have. There might be some grammar mistakes. I don't know. I have to go through it yet.
Chuck will get them.
That's why I'm lying. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, if you guys have questions, certainly reach out. We got a couple weeks, and we welcome feedback. Oh, that's your favorite thing there, Steve.
It's good to see some of the other departments' capital outlays have dropped.
Yeah, I think once we get through, especially Eric's department, and he gets through this next project, Doug's got a lot, once we get that switch gear done, it's really just the water. It's kind of the concern. But.
And the other thing is, I don't see a lot of vehicle replacements, so it tells me we've got our fleet up and maybe in good condition.
Yeah, we do.
You know, we got 2 trucks ordered, don't we, for you?
Oh, yeah, that, speaking of that, we go back to, page 12 there. I've got
3 orders.
yeah, we got,
3?
yeah, if you go to page 12, you'll see that that's another challenging thing is you got to kind of budget, where are we going to get them next year? Or are we going to get them in 30?
Yeah.
You know, so,
So is that money shift?
yeah.
Uh-huh.
And we kind of had a standard 400,000 budget in there, but you'll see that we had one and it was approved in 23 that I'm thinking we should get this year, maybe. I don't know. But the actual price of what we got approved for is in there, so.
So, yeah, 320 and 303, if those shifted to 27, that's $800,000.
Right. Yeah, and then I think the 303 we just got approved. I think they said what 24 to 60 months.
Right.
So that's kind of a challenge to try and keep.
That'd be our luck, Chuck, they'd all show up.
Yeah, exactly.
5 years from now, we're gonna owe
Yeah.
$2 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Tony? Thank you, Tony. Jeff, good morning.
Morning, this is gonna be hard to follow. Set the bar pretty high. Staff and myself, we've been spending a lot of time with clerk registration, MMU team, city utility team, acumen, legal. This is really quite a process. We're just probably now really getting into a lot of the work and the details. There's a lot of program documents to continue to write. Out of those, there has to be policies written. And they need to have, this has to be completed by December 1st to get the majority of it does. I think they could get some extensions or, you know, a few little things if they've got some low hanging fruit or some small items, right? But it's going to take a lot of effort to get from where we're at to meet that November 1st. Some of these agreements, I think, a couple of them we may have to have approved by October 1st. I'm still working on those. We are making a trip to Springfield Monday to go down and meet with their staff. They're going to be doing the transmission operation functions. They're already NERC certified, capable of doing that. And then John Stevens, he's going to stop in tomorrow and look at our system. He's kind of over most of their stuff there. But yeah, there's a couple days this week. We had 2 or 3 meetings a day. It's going to be a pretty big lift, but you know, I'm fortunate. I appreciate my staff's participation. It's going to take a team effort on this side to kind of check all those boxes. So.
Are we getting any help with these?
We are. They're paying for our attorney. We've got an attorney that's representing us through all these agreements. They're paying for that. When she gets done with any agreements we've got coming forward, I still run them by Elizabeth on that end. You know, there's just some things that we know familiar with our system that we just have to provide and do. I don't really know that there's any help they can provide there. So,
Is it something that's gonna take away from our department heads and your daily task enough to go out and find somebody to do this? Do we need to create a position for this? Is it?
No, this is just a short term, getting through all this front end stuff. I think on the back end, and this is kind of may align with the Marshall Energy Center. You know, Gary and I have talked, depending on what that looks like, we may have to hire additional staff just to take care of that stuff, still be able to take care of ours. And there'll be a little bit of paperwork there as well, but you know, we're kind of keeping open to that. We may have to hire staff, but that'll all be in an agreement where we're reimbursed for any of those things.
That's fine. I just don't want to put ourselves in a position
Long term,
where it's just gonna we're hurting ourselves.
no, I agree.
You know, we're adding responsibilities, we're adding job duties. And
And I think
everyone here handles their responsibilities very well. I don't want to just keep loading stuff on them until they fail.
Right. No, I think what we're looking at here, a lot of this stuff is best management practices. We follow all those. It's really just about putting it on a form. I think there's we've got like 5 minutes worth of training on communications where I read you the order, you read it back. We already do all that stuff. It's just really, I think, documenting. I haven't seen anything that's gonna add to anything we do. It's just really memorializing it for, I think there's a cold weather procedure we have to have staff trained on. You gotta document it. I mean, it's really just documenting a lot of the things that we do. But no, I have the same concern. And another concern I have is operations. I don't want to make operations any harder. I think that's going to be a lot of the discussion we have with CU tomorrow and Monday. We've got a draft of another agreement they had with another utility that has, how that communication, everything works from an operations perspective. So should have a better feeling there. This is just it's a lot to get over and through this registration, but in the end, I don't really see us having to do, we do our monthly battery checks, and we record that on our form. Well, does that form meet the NERC standards? So I think we follow best management practices, we do all the right stuff, and we document it in our fashion, but is that a NERC fashion? So, and they need, on the relaying, you have to have a pathology, then you have to have the relaying done, then you have to have the relay checked by somebody else. All that's being done, much leading that effort, so we're gonna get some relaying work done there. Yeah, it's gonna be a big effort to change it, so I think in the end, it'll be a benefit, especially if we get to close that emergency tie. We gotta get through this initial phase, and then I think once we do that, and we kind of look at what's possibly some revenue and having 2 ties on the 161 person. So I'm still optimistic that it's just going to be a lot of work, but when we end up at the end, I think we're going to be pretty good.
I'm assuming all this is falling on Jared.
Some Jared, some Doug, and some Jim, because there's cyber, there's a lot of cyber security stuff.
Day-to-day operations.
Day-to-day operations, it'll primarily be, that'll be with the units and whatever. Doug's will be limited to when we need to do switching or whatever. I think kind of how we're seeing that is right now we've got to get with Evergy and Associated, so you're just going to have to add CU. You're just making one more call. You're still having to coordinate that switching effort, so you're just going to add one more person to that. So I don't see that being too big. We're doing we have a tree maintenance program. Now we're going to have a written one. We maintain our trees, we do pole inspections, we do all that stuff. I don't see it adding work. And a lot of this stuff, if you really think about it, it's the bulk electric system. It makes sense. I mean, you just don't want anybody that walking down the street to be able to, a bulk electric system issue could create a blackout. I mean, it's a big deal. So you got to kind of have that in perspective. We're low impact, but we're not having to get all the hoops. But I think people in charge of the bulk system want to do their due diligence and make sure that everybody that's hooking up is doing what they need.
Would any of these agreements need to go to the council?
They will. Yeah.
Okay, so and that kind of, that timeline you're talking about, that adds to it.
She just requested that yesterday. I provided it to her, so we're going to have to get with her and meet and figure out. I need to get a list of the agreements. Okay. That I don't know how many there's going to be. There's going to be some. So I've got a meeting set up with her to kind of go over all that and try to get that in this bucket. We've got lots of buckets right now. But no, I understand, and I told her, here's the schedule, and if you want, if we have to have 2 readings, here's the calendar. So, yeah, they do a pretty good job. Penny does a pretty good job of asking what our meeting dates, both board and council, so she can kind of consider those when we're working towards, getting this thing. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of effort spent there here, probably the next 4 to 6 weeks. But we'll get there. I'm sorry, I can work as much as I want. Moving on a little bit, I did hear back from AT&T. We had a couple items that were kind of hangups. I think we've got those resolved. I'm waiting to hear back from him on those changes. So hopefully, I feel like we're getting a little bit closer to getting that completed. It's not our oldest agreement, but it is. It's been around a while. Septicon, they're going to mobilize next week and get on that project. I continue to work with a couple data centers. We had MSDC meeting yesterday. Connor's getting a lot of those too. I told him just to send them my way for now. We've got the large load policy completed. And I've got that switchgear, what that capital cost is going to be. We'll see. My goal, if there's capital costs involved, is for them to pay 100%. So if we got to do a $2.5–3 million switchgear addition, they pay. Whether they'll agree with that or not, if they don't, there's somebody else in line.
Do we do an impact fee?
What's that?
Like, we do an impact adjustment,
Impact.
to how much they're gonna use.
So this is going to be a different deal. So we have a separate wholesale rate for what we call computational load, which would be data centers or AI. We procure that. We go out and get a separate contract. So we procure their capacity, PPA, power purchase agreement, and their energy, and we deliver that to them. That's a market-based rate where, if they're buying energy off the market, it could be on the LFPs, locational marginal price, well, that fluctuates. So, and then there'll be a markup for transmission, admin, distribution. Of course, there'll be a 10% pilot on there, all that stuff. But it has a separate wholesale rate, so if you have a winter storm area, that market rate goes wild. That's not tied to the rest of the customers; they're on their own. So we want to try to set this up where it protects not only us and our customers, but other pool members as well. And, they get a lot of bad. They're not popping on the news. None of the news articles. But I think it could be a positive if done correctly. We've got a high load factor, which would lower our system load factor, our all-in cost, lower our wholesale rate a little bit for everybody, potentially. So we'll kind of see how that goes a little bit. But it's the hot topic. They're moving away from larger communities and looking at smaller ones, trying to put in smaller data centers and AI centers. But you really have to, it's kind of hard to go back and say, hey, this company's been around for this long and they've got this financial backing. All these are new and startups. And so when you look at them, there's not a lot of confidence. You get a warm, fuzzy feeling. So I think a lot of what we've developed has been where they put enough security up front. We've gone out and contracted capacity for 3 or 4 years, and they leave after 1 or 2 or shut their doors. But they've still got a financial obligation to pay for that capacity.
If they exist.
If they exist. Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, it's.
Yeah.
We'll continue to work through it. They need us. We don't need them. If the circumstances were right, I think we could have a small one, and it would benefit our community, from the tax base, from the city pilot. There could be some benefits. Not big employers. You're going to have maybe 1 or 2 guys.
Yeah, but the pilot to that should be pretty good.
The pilot would be really good. It'd be like having another kind of agri-pilot property, which would really help the city. So you got to look at all that stuff. Initially, I'm like, well, you don't want to spend capacity if you're not going to have jobs, but you can't ignore the other benefits either. So we'll continue to work on that. See where we end up. But I think I've got the tools from MDUA and engineers to kind of move that forward. Marshall Energy Center, they did get the gas regularization completed. I think they're working out here at the MME site now, doing some work on that one. Continue to move forward. I haven't heard any project updates yet, but hopefully they're continuing to move forward and meet that timeline. Over work on the intake structure, diesel fuel lines, diesel fuel handling equipment, a lot of activity. Would also like to mention, we are running peak alerts the next 3 days, and we've got some hot weather. There is plenty of electricity. What a peak alert means, electric generation equipment is dispatched economic. So you start with the lowest cost generation, and when it gets hot out, you have to use the higher cost. So if you can avoid appliances or any of those things and not use that higher cost energy, that helps everybody. So just wanted to throw that out there. Peak alert, kind of use your appliances and everything outside the hottest part of the day. And we're probably going to have more looking at the long range weather. I think we issued some peak alerts a week or two ago, and I think if you guys saw in our bill what those efforts, I think last year we were able to lower our 6 CP, and it's going to be a $400,000 or $500,000 annual savings. Megan's got some stuff out. Doug's got some radio stuff going. Certainly want to get some Facebook stuff out as well. And see somebody and be sure to remind them. Other than that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Everybody be safe out there in the heat. Stay hydrated.
I guess we'll move to cash disbursements.
Tony, there was an SOA invoice there, 17,000. Will there be more?
There'll probably be one more.
One more?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think what's remaining is for construction services oversight is 76,000, I think,
For SOA.
for SOA.
That's probably what's left.
What's left, it's for construction oversight. So I think that's the last one on the kind of design, the bidding, all that, and what'll be remaining for construction.
So that could be maybe broken up into 2 things.
Yeah, I don't know how they'll build that.
And how much do you anticipate that will be?
Around 75.
I think it's 76,000, if I remember correctly, Chuck. Yeah. But that's just remaining for construction oversight projects.
Else, I make a motion to approve the cash disbursements.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded to approve cash disbursements. If there's no other discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And the next scheduled board meeting is Wednesday, August 26th.
Good in August.
One other thing, I did see where they broke ground at Fulton for their
Yeah,
generation
yep.
project. So I guess
Yep. They're still working on the Hannibal site. There's still a lot of work going on. We're the guinea pig, and they're going to take a lot of these lessons learned, and hopefully learn from it. Yeah, there's a lot going on.
If there's nothing else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved. Motion been made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.